The Yellow Brick Road. This video does not reflect the actual views of real people. These are actors playing a role to entertain audiences. No persons or animals were harmed in the making of this video. Gosh, I love YouTube and I love Google.
Welcome to the Yellow Brick Road. I'm Jordan. This is James on his phone. And
It's not mine.
James slicing his fingers up on a broken iPhone.
Dude, my thumbs are abnormally indestructible. Okay. You can compare them to any other human being as far as pound for pound. They're abnormally bigger than most.
They can't see that.
They're not supposed to. They're not ready.
That sounded and looked bad.
Oh, you know what?
Anyways,
Fucking gay thoughts.
we're here to talk about Black Pigeon Speaks, another animal avatar guy who's probably doesn't want to be persecuted for his beliefs, so he uses an animal guy, this time a bird. The thing about birds, they fly, except for like penguins. Chickens?
I think penguins do the real fly. I like penguins.
And are prehistoric.
Chickens are a little vicious, you know.
So, the bird's gonna tell us about the unstoppable rise of nationalism. Even though I wouldn't even consider that nationalism, but nonetheless, here we go.
Trump, the nationalist, the president of the United States, is tonight embracing the controversial term. Nationalist, it's a term he used twice just today within a matter of 2 hours.
Call me a nationalist if you'd like.
Call him a nationalist if you'd like. It's a broad term with many definitions, but most politicians in this country avoid using it because it's a word loaded with the baggage of bigotry.
Before we begin, let's have a read here and define the term nationalist. According to DuckDuckGo, nationalism is the devotion to the interests or culture of one's nation, the belief that nations will benefit from acting independently rather than collectively, emphasizing national rather than international goals, and aspirations for national independence in a country under foreign domination. Google gives another definition for the word nationalism as patriotic feeling, principles, or efforts, an early consciousness of nationalism and pride. And it gives synonyms: patriotism, patriotic sentiment, allegiance, loyalty to one's country, loyalism, nationality. It also gives the synonyms xenophobia, chauvinism, jingoism, flag waving, isolationism, ethnocentrism, ethnocentricity. The resurgence of nationalism in Europe and other parts of the world, an extreme form of patriotism marked by a feeling of superiority over other countries, playing with right-wing nationalism. Did you catch that? Did you see it? Did you understand it? Can you digest it? The same word, but very different definitions depending on who gives them. Hold that and remember it as this presentation continues, as it's very important in understanding that there is an ongoing and never-ending battle for your mind.
Now he's making a leap here. Well, I would say yes to that. At the same time, it shouldn't matter, right? If Google says, well, what does type in Donald Trump in Google's definition is, he's a pure murderer, racist guy. It's like, well, if you did the existential work, you'd realize, like, oh, I can't just take this at word value. I need to actually investigate, be critical of what I hear. So even if you put the correct definition there, what would it matter unless the person that's reading it is critical or creative on their own? But that's a nitpick.
I was born like this because my pigment.
Yeah.
I was born intelligent.
Also, the idea of superiority, wouldn't that constitute or play a role in nationalism?
Yeah.
If you believe in preserving your own people over someone else, that sounds like superiority.
Yeah.
And superiority would be subjective, right? It's subjective regardless.
Mm.
So, there you go. Unless there's a objective superiority thing. Which...
Well, look at the studies. That's what they say.
Continuing.
Deep meeting.
Like an Arab pigeon or something. It's like...
It's just funny watching it, though. Just wait. Wait for it.
Sorry. Yeah.
While many of the gelded
intelligence.
nations of Western Europe decry the idea of nationalism, France, a nation consistently and I would say unfairly derided as cowardly and prone to surrender, held commemorations for the centenary of Armistice Day in Paris this month, and its childless leader, Emmanuel Macron, gave a speech aimed at US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, where he exclaimed that nationalism, in his words, was the opposite of patriotism because nationalism is treason. President Trump, who was in attendance and for his part was recently vilified by his arch nemesis in the controlled media, CNN, as a monster for choosing to call himself a nationalist. Trump basically and logically juxtaposed the positions and goals of globalists and nationalists in a speech, and he chose the latter. What the faux outrage surrounding words amounts to is the desire of the far left to enforce dogmatic control over language.
Just a theory here. It's like maybe this guy's done so much horrible things that you just can't sleep at night. Yeah. Just being fair, I don't know who this is. So.
Or he's partially African, so at night he sleeps with discs in his eye. Sorry, nah, that fell. I didn't land.
Yeah, it'd be more raunchy.
Yeah, it was a little too matter of fact about it. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, according to the studies, your eye bags would definitely be able to be pouches eventually. So you going to the store stuff?
Sorry, Georgie boy.
Oh, that's George.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck him.
If one does not support the aims of globalism, if one does not support the eradication of cultures and borders, what is one other than a nationalist? Trump defining him...
Once again, the theme of eliminating cultures by intermarrying or being more other people than their people. It's the elimination of a culture. Just like Mark Lamont Hill was advocating for the elimination of the Jewish people.
I mean, the cool thing was I didn't even hear him remotely come close to that conclusion.
But that's what he said. He was dog whistling.
Oh.
He was saying it without saying it.
So it's like if I say, "Hello, a young minority, let me help you," because you tripped in the street, due to your genetics and whatnot, not knowing that the sidewalk is not literally separate from the road itself. And when I say I'm going to help you, it really means it's dog whistling for it. Every white man get out here. Let's beat him up.
Yeah. I would say so.
himself as a nationalist...
P. Grant M. says, quote, "Bad company, Donald Trump, corrupts good character." 1 Corinthians 15:33. Trump crime family.
there's a lot of criminals swimming around.
Now, to be fair,
in the world. I don't know I guess that's a Bible quote or something.
if you're moral, then there's no excuse for anybody to corrupt you.
Nah.
So,
I would say if he really is the corrupt guy, I think he's ignorant and partially corrupt in his actions.
oh sure.
But just look at it as like a life test rather than a. Yeah, you got fairy dust on your hands.
This shit hurts, man. You ever had this shit?
As I would consider the guy like a life test rather than a controlling the minds of people.
I'm gonna wear a glove when I.
Comes at the same time that his former opponent in the 2016 presidential election, Hillary Clinton herself, has finally admitted the link between the culturally and demographically transformative nature of modern mass immigration into Western countries and the speed of change happening to people's disgruntlement at having their nations and cultures replaced in what amounts to the only home they will ever have.
Once again, the whole culture thing. I mean, I wouldn't call it dog whistling because it's like, fuck that. Let's get to the core of the problem.
Yeah.
But I see why other people do that. And when you hear Stefan Molyneux say the aspect of voting in apartheid South Africa was justified because, well, they're not intelligent enough to vote, so they had to exclude them. When you hear things like that, it's like, you know.
It's called self-exposing.
Yeah. There's no
Excuse
nothing
me?
to be said.
What did you say? And then you know, then we bring in the secret weapon. We're like, I'll save this for a rainy day. This little statistic here.
Yeah. Alright.
It's like, Stefan, did you know? No, I didn't. What is it? Superior. Oh, it's a statistic. I'll save it for a rainy day. No, tell me, please. No, see if I tell
I'm
you.
gonna pierce this.
I tell you, you're gonna discredit it because it's true, most likely, and well, close to being true. And then all your followers go bye bye, because I realize how much of a sad little man you are. Don't you eat every day for breakfast? You eat a big sack of crap, but it's okay.
Continuing.
On the 23rd of November, while in London, the former Secretary of State gave an interview with the basically far-left tabloid The Guardian, where she explained that Europe needed to get control over the amount of migrants entering the continent, or it would fuel the rise of nationalism. While she did say that she understood the links between transforming societies and the rise of Trump and the choice of the UK to Brexit, she believed for many it was more psychological than political, and that many have felt that government has gone wrong and that people feel attacks on their heritage, their identity, and their national unity, and that there is tension. She also said she doesn't fully understand these feelings people have.
So
You can't have attacks on your identity.
once again, he could be leaning towards the innate genetic makeup of different races causes them to act certain ways. You might be leaning towards that.
Well, saying it without saying,
Yeah.
Another woman and one.
Oh, my identity's is being threatened by this external force. It's like, no, stop.
Yeah.
It's literally you who fucking threatens it, or the potential of one. That's it.
And the individual comes first. And no, the fucking Western culture didn't make that up. It's not something you make up. As Pearson would say, it's something you discover rather than something you make up.
Yeah. Our history began 1,500 years ago, not in 1776. True or false? White illegals got permission to take over Indians' land and culture. You mean Native Americans?
White illegals got permission. That's the thing.
Here's the thing. I don't know if that's true.
Well, yeah, I don't know either way.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
They're afraid immigrants are going to do the same thing that they did to the native people of whatever land, right? And these guys who were, I I don't know what you call them, because maybe culturalist. Guys are, I don't know, so heavily caring about their culture, or worried about their kids being named Muhammad or something. Their future relatives.
Yeah.
Like what's going to happen if there's a mosque on every corner?
Can you imagine? It's like,
the son's name will be Muhammad.
I'm gonna name him Bill. It's like, no, his name will be Emil.
Yeah, they're worried about that.
It's like,
that's what it sounds like.
That's not gonna happen.
And their only justification is
they're gonna come here with boom boom sticks.
And their seeming justification for this is the race and intelligence argument, that if we get overtaken by a lower intelligent race, they will just self-destruct and start nuking themselves.
Yeah, no, stop. No. Stop it.
Yeah, stop.
One that is much despised and has rightly been held responsible for much of the turmoil across Europe for the past 3 years. Also childless, the leader of Germany, Chancellor Angela Merkel, who herself sent out the message that all of the world would be welcome to settle in Europe and live on state handouts, has shown that she still has no interest in the welfare of her nation or the continent's future, when on the 21st of November, she reaffirmed her support for and defended the United Nations Compact on Migration. The non-binding agreement that has been criticized by many governments as it aims to legitimize illegal migration for any reason as a human right has been rejected by a growing number of nations, including Hungary, Poland, and the United States, as well as Austria and, of course, Israel. The Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, which declares migration inevitable, necessary, and desirable, is supported by the likes of Justin Trudeau of Canada, a man who has not met an agreement that cedes sovereignty from the Canadian people, and of course, Chancellor Merkel. To accentuate her complete lack of self-awareness of the current political situation in Europe, Chancellor Merkel urged, in a feat that would make Richard von Koldenhof-Kalergi blush, she urged and demanded that EU nations give up sovereignty to Brussels in what she called an orderly manner. In an interview with the German publication Die Welt, she was blunt when she stated that nation states must today be prepared to give up sovereignty. She
Hear the
sovereignty,
the looming threat in his voice.
Yeah.
None of these people are actually nationalists, so I will say that the guy talking to Donald Trump, they're not actually nationalists. In my opinion, I don't see them as actual nationalists. I think this is a Canadian dude that lives in Japan talking about American politics. Well, a lot of the time talking about American politics or Europe's politics. Trump, if he's a nationalist, why did he bomb Syria? Why is he funding Saudi Arabia? Why does he have such high regard for Israel? On and so forth. So they're just doing different things with their lack of nationalism, right? Or maybe even just saying different things, right? Because Obama was detaining people at a high rate as well. Right? They call it, what do they call them? What's that shit when you kick someone out of the country?
Deporter?
They call him deporter in chief.
Yeah.
Oh, Trump's doing something similar to that? Oh, okay. But they can, on the surface, sort of trick you. And this guy might have fallen for it, thinking that Trump's like some exception. Yeah, you can read those.
Or if there's a church on every corner, native children will be named Joe or Jane. White man says, "Do as we say, not as we did."
That's what the colonizing of America, where Native Americans got thrown away, and now there's immigrants coming in.
It's basically, it reminds me of, okay, we'll stop right here. And it just keeps going, and they all get pushed basically like to a certain portion of land And eventually they get thrown out of that too.
Yeah.
Like Palestine.
And then immigrants come over, and now they're like, they can't do this. We need to defend our sovereignty and our borders.
Like shut the fuck up. That's not happening. How about we deport all whites to Europe, blacks to Africa, Asians to Asia, then start talking about nationalism?
Because, well, in this guy's mind, that might work for him, but he's forgetting about culture. Like, okay, where does Eminem go? His culture seems to align with people that look like this. Barack Obama, where does he go? He's half and half. His mom's from like Kansas or some shit. His dad's from like some African place.
But he hangs around people like this.
We cut him in half and send him to both.
Okay. You'll hang out at Wall Street sometimes, and then we'll put you in DC.
Yeah.
Be happy. It's like, well, that's not going to solve anything.
Yeah. If you can't tell, yeah, this guy's ignorant as fuck, and he will never respond to us. Because then I'd do some research. I don't think people want
Be honest with you,
into things like that.
If you think, well, they just want clout. It's like, dude, you know, we were gonna respond to people who have like less followers than us. So.
Oh yeah, we invite people on, like, if you're in our chat and we're
Yeah.
like, okay, there's something wrong with this. Call in then.
Yeah.
Continuing.
Also went on to say that people are individuals who are living in a country. They are not a group who define themselves as the German people, for example. And again, she derided nationalism when she stressed in her Orwellian doublespeak that it is not patriotism, because patriotism is when you include others in German interests and accept win-win situations. What those situations are, she was not clear. So what you have here are globalists represented by the leaders of Canada, France, and Germany digging in their heels as popular resentment builds, as many feel the growing disenfranchisement and loss of their birthright in nations across the West, and this in turn is leading to the inevitable rise of nationalism in countries as far afield as the USA, the UK, Hungary, Austria, and Poland, among other places. It's intellectually breathtaking how the political elite in much of the West cannot understand the desire of the teeming, unwashed masses to have a sense of community and continuity in their lives, a sense of shared values, shared history, shared kinship, and a sense of sovereignty, and baffling in the current year when taking even a most cursory look at the current political reality.
See, this guy, once again, like, I think he just has a blind spot for what's been happening. Yeah. He thinks he's like, there's he's painting a picture of migrants coming here to change the culture around so that they own the country or something like that. Doesn't realize where these people are actually coming from, like how they became migrants in the first place.
What do you think happened to the place where they lived? What do you think happened? Huh?
Yeah.
Like, who do you think's causing that?
I don't
Boom. Bomb. Explosion. P. Grant M. Eminem can go to the... How do you say that? Vienna? Vienna Opera House, where he deserves to be.
I don't know what that means. But...
Me either. Explain. What do you mean by that?
Spaghetti.
There are nationalist rumblings and resentment in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Catalonia, the Basque Country, and Flanders, amongst others. And these are groups of people that have lived side by side for millennia with their neighbors, who, for the most part, share culture, religion, and in the case of the UK, political union that goes back centuries. But still, many want self-determination for their people. But Chancellor Angela Merkel and her ilk want the nations of the EU, with countries like Hungary, Poland, the Czech Republic, Austria, and Italy, all with nationalist governments that are committed to protecting their people's rights, traditions, and cultural integrity, to not only sign on to a migration pact that would see their indigenous people and culture reduced to a minority in a matter of decades in the only home they will ever have, but also give up all rights to self-determination to Brussels so it can manage the eradication of their nations in an orderly manner.
Why is he an idiot? Go on.
Do it, young fella.
Tell us.
These are the desires of those that advocate for globalism, and these views are lauded. Not only
Another little keyword, they're not like globalism. Like if you think about it, think about the perfect world, it would be what they call globalism. Oh, you can freely just walk to wherever you want.
Yeah.
That sounds, I don't know.
Wait a minute.
It's like these guys are willing to just ignore good ideas in order to, you could say because of government corruption and all that shit, but they also rely on things like, which is the cognitive dissonance of defending their point, is, well, human nature. Like they'll bring that up.
Well, it's a
The elimination of culture.
It's a
sovereignty.
It's
throw out keywords and shit. Meanwhile, not knowing that. Meanwhile, it's so obvious, like what the right answer would be in the bigger picture. Good.
Big supporting arguments to elevate their theory, and to do that, they have to push everything else down. It's like, dude, you ever think of maybe, possibly, that the government really doesn't really actually care about people, and they actually pursue like business deals outside into foreign lands, and it involves basically tyrannical things like us, basically killing other people. What else? Taking out other governments, for purposes of making money or again business deals, and then these people have nowhere to go, nowhere to live now. So it's either live in a wasteland or people think shit that's owned by warlords or whatever the fuck, or
a wasteland where people around the world clearly don't give a shit as far as world leaders go.
So it's like, live here or live over here, where it looks better. It's not good. It's not good here.
If you were
better.
If you were an Arab in Syria, I can't see any possible way you wouldn't be a conspiracy theorist. Like, man, it seems like they're doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
Like there's some overhanging overlord that's trying to fuck
I wouldn't
us
blame.
up.
I wouldn't blame the ignorant person. Say fuck America. In a generalized thing, rather than your politicians are corrupt and they're killing our people.
Yeah. They can see our citizens on TV.
Yeah.
Saying
Just
fuck the left. No, fuck the right.
It's like, well, fuck them all. Fuck them all.
And no one's saying anything about war at all.
No.
They
Hardly
skip
ever.
over that subject.
They have to.
It's like it's an eyesore to see that.
It's literally
you see
a bunch of people in a fucking like sandbox. They're like, man, it's this side's better. No, this side's better. You guys don't get what makes everything great. And then they don't really realize that it's a playground. There's a jungle gym with fucking swings. That weird shit no one ever had a name for. That's over there. And they got those weird rides and shit.
You see crowds of people, young people too, outside the White House for
Levi. Yes.
Bin Laden's dead. Bin Laden's dead. Yeah. And they don't contemplate how we got to that. Like, man, how did we get here to this guy being so important? So importantly, like as a bad person that he needs to die. Like, what were the events that led to that?
I would completely disregard that.
Yeah.
Well, he's so bad he has to die. It's like, no. Well, I remember that day. I was creeped out by it.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking John. I remember seeing John Cena going like, they got him. I'm like, I remember that asshole. I'm gonna fucking remember that. His shirt was off. He's like, it's like, dude, get the fuck off the table and get your ass backstage. How, like,
Vince is like, work that angle.
Yeah.
Do that. That'll be a big pop.
The Phillies game, ESPN baseball.
I just want to say,
they're like, yeah. I'm like,
a lot of the wrestling lingo is kind of suspect. Vince McMahon shoots on.
Yeah, I know. I know.
JK.
Levi, we will be streaming Holloway versus Ortega fight tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm not streaming the fight. We're watching it, and we're giving a live reaction to it. And the idea is that you watch it, too, on your own thing, but we can all talk.
Yes.
It's an open format.
Nothing illegal going on over here, for sure.
It ain't.
Like that guy. Mr. Soros.
You know, he stores souls in his eye bags.
Fuck.
That's what he does. He stores all the souls of dead children and dead adults, too. But mostly children. He stores them in his fucking eye bags, man. That's how they got like that. Not to mention that the guy can't sleep at night. So what do you expect?
That's where Santa leaves his stocking gifts.
Nah, dude, that's where he leaves his...
You don't need to put them out this cross.
Wait, let me think.
Alright, let's continue.
Nah, I want to shit on this guy. Wait. One more. Fuck, I don't know.
His eye bags look like a skateboard vert. Like you just put a ball in there, just go like this over and over.
Nah,
again.
it's just the demons inside. They're making smiley faces and shit. It's like, yes. Yeah.
He looks like he has 2 kangaroo pouches on his face. Alright, I'm done.
No, again, he has like little demon children pouch. Like, go to sleep.
Alright.
In academia, but also in the controlled media that is owned by multinational conglomerates and global financial entities. In this view, the only thing that matters is the economy and nationalists are those who, by definition, from the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language 4th edition, like President Trump, who are devoted to the interests or culture of their nation by emphasizing national rather than international goals, or who have aspirations for national independence in a country under foreign domination, like Tibet, for example, are treasonous. And
Quick thing, Dalai Lama has,
man.
I don't know what he's ever said that was so important. He might be tied with like the Pope, and as far as their sayings.
Oh.
Like, are you saying just obvious moral scenarios?
Yeah.
Not taking on the difficult ones? Like, shouldn't you be that guy?
Like, help your neighbor. What else, dude? What else? Tell me.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, dude.
Do you do it on the hush-hush, man?
If people
That'd be cool.
I don't know
Alright
shit
with
about the Dalai Lama, but if people bow down to him and fucking like bear him gifts and treat him as this holy figure, there's a problem.
Oh yeah,
that's a problem.
That should be a problem. Yeah.
Like if you claim to be a wise man or a wise person, you know, or you claim to you want to share wisdom, but then you end up like sitting on top of something with everybody like walking beneath you, and they're all like, you know, it's like, dude, you need to get the fuck out of here.
So yeah, for us, using the Dalai Lama as support for your argument does not work.
He just looks like he's peering into some kid's soul. It's like, I'm gonna touch you now.
Fuck.
I'm sorry, but look at it. Like it
Not really.
To me, it just says Dalai Lama caught with like child sex.
Fuck.
I'm sorry. Just look at the picture. Look at the title, and it says, "Children all wish they could go back time."
And not patriotic. And this is probably why the Dalai Lama himself is so sympathetic to the plight of nationalism. Nationalism is a feeling of unity with a group beyond one's immediate family and friends. In and of itself, it is not conducive to the disastrous wars or aggression that the toxic left tries to tie it to. And this
So it's not conducive to the wars that the left tries to, like, that sounds like pure fucking brainwashing, man.
Yeah.
The left says it's war, that's why there's refugees. It's not really that, it's people taking over our culture.
It's like, yeah, stop.
Unless I read that wrong, but that sounds
get
like
rid of
straight up brainwashing.
Like, take a step back.
Yeah.
Let's look at both sides. Which one makes the most sense? Terrorists or government funding, governments and other business and corporations basically trying to make shady business deals with other governments and corporations, etc. People get the bad end of it.
Yeah.
I think that one makes the most sense.
I bet this guy would be, actually he probably did already, when the whole election thing was happening. I bet he was talking about, like, well, how did ISIS get Toyota trucks? Things like that. And then, well, it was the left that did it. And it's like, dude, that sounds like brainwashing.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're just ignoring the whole George Bush era.
Yeah.
Or you're just calling George Bush a leftist, too. Like, he's a left, too. If you do bad, you're left. If you do good, you're right.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, shut up.
Tanya says, think about where you were in life at 9/11.
I was a like 8th grader, I think.
Pre-K.
I was in middle school, right? That's middle school. Yeah, I was in middle school.
I was in pre-K. Like, James, your mom's here to pick you up. I'm like, wee.
I had no idea what the Twin Towers were, straight up.
I just saw fire trucks on TV. I'm like, Mom, look, fire trucks. Go upstairs.
I didn't even look at the TV. I went home, immediately went outside, started playing sports. Kids will be kids. What are you gonna do?
Interpretation of nationalism relies almost exclusively on cherry-picked exceptions, as these conclusions were drawn without considering the far more common cases in which nationalism was not the root of some evil. When war broke out in the past, nationalism has often, automatically, in retrospect, assumed to be party to the crime, either as a tool that would allow nations and their leaders to seduce the masses into fighting, or as fuel that stoked popular outrage.
Now I'm like running with the Tanya point, like 9/11. Do you remember the flags everywhere?
Yeah.
My dad never had a fucking American flag on his car till after that.
Pearl Harbor.
Nationalism was at an all-time high.
Yeah.
Unless he says, well, that's not really nationalism. Now we're like quietly changing the argument as we go. Like, what do you mean by nationalism? The textbook definition? It doesn't work either. We were told nationalism would keep us safe. ... Fear. Yeah, George Bush.
That's why. That's the reason why you got rid of all those implemented. Well, as well, people being ignorant and corrupt, but implementing the stuff like the Patriot Act. See, listen, Rose, I need to have a camera in your shower because there could be terrorists there.
Yeah.
I need. Trust me.
Yeah. What I need is this guy to really explain his definition of nationalism and also his definition of the left. Because what the fuck was Fox News doing during those years? Are they the left too? It's like anyone who in retrospect was wrong is now the left. Like George Bush is the left. George Bush Sr. the left. So Ronald Reagan was the left. They did something shitty. They're the left, apparently. Can I put it in a plug for Fox fake news? Oh, and I skipped some. Fear controls the narrative to control the sheeple. My daughter was 3 months old. Fuck. Then yeah, can I put in a plug for Fox fake news? Here's the thing: Fox became heroes for a little bit during the 2016 election because they're actually reporting on the shitty things Clinton has done.
I don't care.
Not people knew much about Trump, but there's a whole shitload of things on Clinton.
It's like
it seems like other channels
What team were they on?
That's the thing about it.
What's the problem?
They're team playing. They weren't really being honest with people.
No.
Otherwise, George Bush would have never been elected. Well, he could have been elected, but he would have been called out every day.
You wouldn't have a Bill.
since
You
9/11.
wouldn't have a character.
You'd have real journalists.
You wouldn't have Bill O'Reilly up there.
No.
That was, looking back at that.
He could be up there, but he'd be the guy that everyone makes fun of.
Well, yeah, but he'd be ridiculous. It's unreal.
Yeah. There's no cut his mic. It'd be like, Bill, you're wrong here. They'd fill the space in where he cuts mics off.
Yeah.
They'd fill that in with some guy just verbally shitting on him.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're full of shit.
Yeah. This form will be 40 minutes long, so you can't go with, no, you hate your country. Commercial break. It's like, dude, you're a coward.
Yeah. Alright, continuing.
See the fucking book he wrote. It's like, dude, you are a fucking self-entitled little piece of shit.
First, this not only assumes that people are without agency, it also, at the same time, negates the naked force the state can use to coerce people to do a whole host of things they find repugnant. Ask anyone that is productive at tax time what they think of the never-ending spiral of taxes to fund the welfare state. According to the force the state can use to coerce people to do a whole host of things they find repugnant. Ask anyone that is productive at tax time what they think of the never-ending spiral of taxes to fund the welfare state.
The welfare state.
How much is going to welfare? That shit better be in quadruple billions.
Yeah, dude. I should, at one point or another, I mean, a lot of my friends and their friends and other people I don't even know, there should be a bunch of Mercedes-Benz out there just rolling around like.
I know. And if you're reading stats or whatever, it's like, is there amount of money per person going up, or is it the amount of immigrants, or not immigrants, but just people who are poor in general going up? Thus, the spending for it goes up. Is that the case? What about inflation? Does that have any role in this?
I think inflation's just a bunch of bullshit.
Also, I'd like to compare those numbers with the military budget. But once again, you're a nationalist, so you should be for just the army should strictly be in America, where we need those F-28 ABC 95 fighter jets. Should they should be flying over sports stadiums during the ball game.
Not only that, you gotta have the unmanned drones flying around.
How would that work?
You see, every time
They're not actually people.
I'll show you. Just wait. So what's going to happen is every time a home run is hit, Major League Baseball will save so much money. The drones will catch them. Especially in where the Giants play. No more water. No, don't. No worries. You don't even have to worry about a net no more. Just giant death machine flies around and catches it. That shit can fire missiles. It sure is fucking catch a ball, man.
Genius.
We were also told to use the system was. We were also told to use the system was bad.
In walks the central banks, follow the money, Federal Reserve, things like that.
Yeah.
The guys who print money.
James Corbett is the man for that.
Yeah, I'm not an expert, but
All right.
those are the few things I do.
According to the ideology of the far left that embraces a borderless globalism, nationalism predisposes a nation's people to be belligerent to outsiders and those of other nations. But there is a significant problem with this logic. If nothing else, nationalism is a sense of collective unity that turns large groups into what could be called national extended families. Having lived myself in Japan for several years, I can say that this is absolutely true. But the way Japanese, since the Second
I don't think you know what truth is. Continue.
World War have treated one another says nothing of how the country treats others. In fact, since the Treaty of San Francisco, Japan has banned itself from ever engaging in war as a means of diplomacy. People the world over usually love and identify with their family first, but this doesn't mean that this manufactures hatred for neighboring families.
America also has an army base in Japan.
Yeah.
That might be a reason why they don't do certain things.
Yeah.
Like,
we could crush you.
We're already in your country. We don't even need to invade. We're already there.
Matter of fact, you're going to help us out.
Wait, you can tell me if I'm wrong about that. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, no, there's a base.
I'm sure we're still there.
There's a base. 100%.
Also, there's 2 nukes, that might subdue a radical idea of wars of aggression. I don't know.
Just even think of the radicals. No Benoit, no Eddie Guerrero, none of them, no Chavo, no. Who else was in that? Dean Blanco, yeah.
Just as being nationalist and wanting to make America first again, for example, this doesn't make Americans hate Canada. help our own first isn't nationalist and wanting to make America first again. For example, this doesn't make Americans hate Canada. Help our own first is a popular mantra heard in most countries as it exhibits a selective...
Go back.
Americans hate Canada. Help our own first is a popular...
All right, you should, like, help our own first? You mean the corporations and corporations that are without the country and other countries as well. So you got to replace that with the Exxon logo. Texas, replace that with, what? Goldman Sachs or whatever the fuck, you know, to get rid of all these symbols and, you know, of these, like, you know, states or whatever. Replace them with logos and corporations. Like, where's United Fruit? Where's that one?
Yeah.
That can go for California right there, yeah.
When has America been America first anyways?
Never.
Other than the inception of it, right? Before it was America, like, okay, now it's America. Then it would be like American first for a while. But I doubt it stayed that way.
I would honestly say I don't really even buy that, because when it's like,
considering trade and
we
things
want
like
the
that.
British to leave, it's like, so we can own the blacks. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so.
It's like, you guys were always, there was always silly fuckers.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, fuck this. Not only that, you're you know, where the, like, hey, remember the Native Americans? Where are they at?
Casinos and reservations.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. See? It's like, we need to make it first. We need to put America first again. It's like, it was never first. Shut the fuck up. I get. Here's the truth. I don't know that, and he doesn't know that. But if we look back in history, I would say, now I'm no history buff, but as far as looking at the two and comparing the two, one side's really bullshitty, and the one I'm looking at as far as it makes the most sense, it's like, yeah, you know, yeah, just shitty people.
Yeah. Shift the narrative. Everyone needs a new house set up. Federal Reserve is not owned by the feds. There's also ships that might have been about something else. Yeah. Yeah, the Federal Reserve is not a federal owned by the government thingy, but whatever.
Mantra heard in most countries as it exhibits a selective altruism with regards to their fellow compatriots. America first is a sentiment that makes the country better, at least for its citizens, rather than one.
Here,
No,
even if it did do that, that's basically, well, morality for us and no one else. And even that itself would fucking fall apart, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, you can't be good. You can't claim, like, you know, you people, your morality is good as long as you just isolate everything and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like, can you imagine that? It's like, I'm Batman. Okay, only you guys I'm going to save. It's like, what? It's like, sorry, whites first.
And if you got woo-woo about it, that argument does not work. It doesn't cure the immorality of the world.
No.
You'd still have your problems.
Yeah.
Because now, well, first of all, too much time has passed where you're all conscious of each other. And then it's like, well, there's clearly a wrong thing happening here, and we just ignore it and say, nope, stay out of there. Nah.
Matt Hunter says Nelson Mandela was a nationalist. Gandhi was a nationalist, so? Gandhi's kind of whack, man. And Nelson Mandela, any information on him?
It wouldn't matter to me. If Jesus, said kill people, I'd be like, well, fuck him.
Yeah, that's that.
We're not, like, when it comes to certain ideas, you can't be a fan.
Hugo Chavez was I don't give a fuck, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't.
And at the same time, they probably weren't actually nationalists as far as a textbook definition. Maybe not.
Tanya says it has not been better for the average American right now. It has not been better for the average people right now. So you could be living in paradise and fucking who knows where, but as long as there's someone suffering, it's like,
yeah,
you should be doing something to help.
Yeah.
All right.
Might be something Something about that.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should.
That is populated by purely selfish individuals. Moreover, when using data from the International Social Survey Program that carried out surveys on national identity in 1995 and again in 2003, that the stronger the sense of nationalism, well, the findings were immediately apparent. Moreover, when using data from the International Social Survey Program that carried out surveys on national identity in 1995 and again in 2003, well, the findings were immediately apparent. Across the board, countries with a higher average level of nationalism were consistently wealthier. And these findings are at odds with those in the political...
Are you just like... The statistics say the U.S. is wealthier than this country over here. And it's like, well, listen.
It's mental gymnastics. It's a claptrap. It's, well, now wealth is important. It's whatever fits the fucking whatever fits the argument for them. If it's not wealth, it's culture.
Yeah.
If it's not culture, it's whatever, genetics.
Yeah.
It's just on and on. It's intelligent.
Not only that, if you're going to use that statistic as your favor, also take into account that, okay, let's see here. As long as there's poor people and people getting taken advantage of in a country, especially if you're going to add up all the people who have a tremendous amount of wealth, like an overwhelming amount of wealth compared to other people.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like, well, they're wealthy. It's like, no, a group of people are wealthy that are within this place.
It's like, yeah, man, hold on. Yeah, man, don't try to bite off Stefan Molyneux. He's at least consistent with it. Right from the beginning, he was saying, truth only arrives from the five senses. Thus, you can only use science to get the truth. Thus, race and IQ.
Yeah.
He's at least been consistent with it. He's always been preaching free market and blah, blah, blah.
I don't know how to say your name, dude, but I could call him Star. That's what I see here.
Target? Captain America.
Who else thinks capitalism's massive and immoral wealth inequalities are going to collapse in our lifetimes? Maybe we should consider something more like socialism instead. It doesn't matter as long as there's still ignorance and corruption. That's what's going to plague a system. And it will no longer be a system. So you could have socialism or capitalism. It wouldn't matter. As long as you have corruption, it's not going to mean shit, dude.
Yeah, I basically have a similar answer to that. It's not capitalism creating immorality or wealth inequality or whatever.
Yeah.
It's people doing it to each other.
Yeah.
So you can replace today's people with socialism and watch the destruction happen. Same shit.
Tanya says, lose everything and you really know what's important. You can know without losing everything. I would say.
You gotta lose ignorance.
Yeah.
Then you can know a bunch of shit.
Matt Hunter, why shouldn't the poor be taken advantage of? Maybe you should be asking yourself that. But I can tell you it's wrong.
Well,
taking advantage of anybody is wrong.
It's like, well, you could go do that, but I'll just say there's implications for yourself. Maybe even others around you.
Corruption is a positive trait. What do you mean by positive?
All right, now you're just trolling, so you're clearly trolling with the last two comments.
I can clearly see he was a little like corruption. It's like, hey, dude, you know, if you don't do the existential work, I can't help you out.
Yeah, there's two different things on. There's good and evil, and there's positive and negative. Those are two different things. So corruption could be quote unquote positive as far as a result, right?
Even so,
I could rob someone, run out the door, slip on a banana, fall down, an orange rolls out of my palm, goes into the street, a car sees it, hits the brakes. It was just about to hit a kid. Like, oh look, something positive happened. Thank God I tried to rob those people.
At the same time,
save that kid over there.
At the same time, though, there's a bunch of other scenarios taking place as well. Maybe the driver wasn't paying attention, or they're drunk. Maybe negligent parent was. God, I don't really care about this kid. Let the kid walk out in the middle of the street. So,
or a kid lived and became a doctor because he's like, man, I could have died right there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna spend my life saving people.
At the same time, though, there's positive and negative. Then there's goodness versus emptiness, you know.
Yeah, that's why I separate them.
Yeah. It's not just the poor, it's the middle class also. Separate us further. Well, yeah, I did say that it's not just poor. Like, you said, why shouldn't the poor be taken advantage of? I'm like, well, people shouldn't be taken advantage of. That's simple.
Yeah.
Political and financial class that sees humans as only interchangeable economic units. Obviously, people are more, and culture is important. Moreover, using World Bank...
Now, hold on, because looking at people as interchangeable economic units, that smells like capitalism has something to do with it. At least these guys' idea of the free market.
Well, that's called corruption.
To where your value is how hard you work. Like, oh, like you're poor because you don't work hard. No, that says something about your character.
That is a form of corruption. It's like, okay, these are people. They're not numbers. Do you understand this here? Okay?
Yeah.
Tanya says, push polarity between the masses. If we fight, we can't pay attention to them.
Yeah.
Matt Hunter said Rosa Parks was corrupt. Maybe she was.
Maybe she was.
And
I don't know her
your
history.
point would be what? What's your point, dude? All right.
If you're leaning towards where I think you're going, meaning the law, then that has nothing to do with morality. Continuing.
The system is corrupt. Our SS numbers are. Well, a system can't be corrupt because if it was corrupt, then it wouldn't be a system to begin with. So it's people. It's people.
Bank data on citizens' adherence to laws, another striking relationship becomes evident. The countries endowed with a higher level of nationalism tend to have stronger rule of law. For all of nationalism's supposed faults, it is incredibly and consistently associated with things we value in economics, politics, and society. With the concerted push by the political, financial, and media elites to push for the eradication of nation-states and the cultures they harbor intensifies, we can see the strong pushback by the natives of Western countries is also beginning to intensify.
Like, see, they're doing it too. They're minorities and they're doing it. I don't know.
The logic here is very...
it's argument by perception, I guess.
Currently, Mexicans and Americans on their mutual border agree that roving bands of migrant caravans from Central America forcing their way into their countries does nothing positive for the people that live there. And now people on both sides of the border are protesting. And it is the controlled media, like CNN, with its bought and paid for talking heads like Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper, that are now flabbergasted, as they no longer are able to say that nationalism is fueled exclusively by white supremacism, but is in fact the desire to have a peaceful community that the individual can identify with, and for that reason wishes to protect. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Also hit the bell to get...
It's about culture.
Tiny said agreed, but it's all in the hierarchy. Go up, 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 and follow the money. Yeah, but if we look back and we see how, like, where did those people start? You know, it's like, oh, they were just like everybody else, somewhat, as far as you could call like an economic status, could be like right here. Like, oh, so they were silly and corrupt people to begin with, and they just made their way up. So I don't really call it. I don't want to regulate it to the hierarchy, because if you go with the argument of we just need to get rid of them all. Let's say let's say all those people, the corrupt people, you know, like disappeared. You know, the rich corrupt assholes, they disappeared. You know what's gonna happen?
Thanos.
Yeah, you know what's gonna happen? People will make some. I would say people, as far as how society is right now, they'll fill in those spots really quickly.
Oh yeah.
All right. Matt Hunter says, what is it about white majority nations that blacks and browns find it so attractive?
What?
Yeah, he said
Are you
that.
making the Wait, with what, Brett? You mean poor people? They can't even get here without something, happening to their fucking country.
Oh, God, dude.
You mean like refugees, like those guys? I don't know.
Oh, he's really going there.
I know.
Oh boy. Tanya said they built the country. I don't know who you mean by they.
The
Persists the U.S.
overlords.
Or immigrants came here, and there are some people out of those people, a certain number of them were corrupt enough to, like, okay, we're gonna kill these people, and those people too, like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna hurt them back. It's like, okay, so just it's corruption, ignorance. Doesn't matter where you're from or how much money you have. Matt Hunter said, "Who built the country?"
People.
I think Matt Hunter believes in, like, if your pigment's different, then you have a certain kind of soul within that. It's kind of unfortunate if he believes that.
That's just full of shitness. That's not an argument. I think we've done this before. I can't read.
It's like,
yeah.
fuck, man. I will never stop trying, but it's like, I will shed a tear. Tanya said, "Too much for this chat. Email me." You email us. My team. Matt Hunter. So the U.S. was founded on corruption.
No, but corruption was definitely a part of the process, which is why shit is the way shit is now. You think it's just... you think you do an act of corruption, it's just universe forgets that happened?
No.
It's like, nah.
Now there's statues and shit for that.
Now you get to have Black Lives Matter. Enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
Tanya, it's all there for those who look. Yeah? I mean, on paper, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright, that is it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you feel like. Always comment. And as usual, give this video a giant pep boy thumbs down. No!